Hey everyone, welcome to week one, module one. In this module, we are going to be learning what binge eating is and what emotional eating is. So I'm going to share my screen with you, go through a few slides, and then we'll be diving in. So here we go. All right. So what is emotional and binge eating? Eating food when you are in an emotional state you may be physically hungry, or you could also just be eating food for comfort, right? So here we are explaining what an emotional state is. And emotional state is anytime you're feeling anxious, happy, sad, stressed, or any emotion that you may feel throughout the day. It doesn't matter if it's a positive emotion or negative emotion. It just really is any emotion that you feel throughout the day. And did you know that emotional eating can actually be caused by either you can be overeating, right? So you tend to just constantly eat all throughout the day, and it could be overeating of fruits and veggies and, more nutrient dense foods. It doesn't necessarily have to be just the non-nutrient dense foods that we like to consider are bad foods, quote unquote. But it also can be under eating, right? So you could go through the entire day and not turn to food because maybe you feel like shit, so you want your body to feel like shit, and you are just allowing yourself to give yourself that justification, like, well, I am a piece of shit, so I'm just gonna not eat, and that's just like justifying that for yourself. So it could be either end of the spectrum. I know that there were times where I would overeat emotionally, and then there were times where I would undereat emotionally as well. So that is something that I want you to keep in mind and just think about, like, which end of the spectrum do you find yourself on most of the time? Or do you find yourself a mixture between the two? Do you not allow yourself to eat food throughout the day when you feel physically hungry? And then when you get home, maybe you are binge eating and, trying to consume all of the calories that you should have been eating throughout the day. So here we have emotional eating versus binge eating. And emotional eating is eating small amounts of food or eating large amounts of food that are usually high in sugar or fat content in response to the emotional state that you're in currently and you would rather not feel or deal with. So you're just eating your food to stuff down the emotions that you're feeling because, one, you may not even know what you're feeling. You just know that it's not something that makes you happy, or you could even be doing this when you are feeling happy, right? And then we have binge eating, where you are frequently consuming unusually large amounts of food in one sitting and feeling that eating behavior is out of control. So that perfect example of you not eating throughout the day, then you get home, you go for all of the foods that you've been craving throughout the day, and you just start eating and eating and eating and eating. And this, again, can just be your fruits and veggies as well. It doesn't have to be your cereals and your high sugary foods. It could be any food that you're binge eating on because you're not giving yourself the fuel that you need to get to throughout the day. So how did you develop this habit? Luckily for us, it's a learned behavior, which means that it can be unlearned, right? So I know that there are times where we think, like, I'm never going to be able to change this, and I'm never going to be able to feel a better relationship with food. But I want you to think about, like, when you were a kid, and if you scraped your knee at the park and started to cry, your parents probably fixed up your scrape with a Band-Aid, comforted you, and then gave you a lollipop or a cookie or something for being a brave little girl. In that moment, your parents were conditioning you that anytime you got hurt or anytime you felt that pain, that the lollipop is something that would make you feel better, or that cookie was something that would make you feel better. Also, when you were a baby and you would cry, your parents would assume that meant you were hungry because you couldn't talk, or maybe at that point you could talk, but still they're just assuming that, food is going to be the one thing that's going to make you stop crying, because it has been every other time. And so they give you a bottle to comfort you, right? This is just something that has been passed down from generation to generation. It doesn't mean that we get to place blame on our parents. It simply just means that we have some rewiring to do with our brains, because like I said, this is things that we learned over time. You know, we have been conditioned that, okay, this happens, I eat, I feel better. And it's just a vicious cycle that we've been continuing ourselves on, no matter what emotion that we've been feeling. And then it just goes around and around and around. So let me stop sharing this screen and just talk about a little bit about exactly what's going on here. So like I said, it's a vicious cycle that we stay on, because these are all the things that we have been taught, that we have been growing up with throughout our lifetime. No matter how old you are, these are things that were placed into our head, and things that we pass on to our kids too, by no fault of our own. It's just like how society works. It's like, okay, Sally fell, she scraped her knee, lollipops make Sally happy, let's give Sally this lollipop to make her feel better, right? And then instead of being like, Sally, it's okay, like, how do you feel? And actually talking to Sally about it, you know, we try to just do that quick fix of, oh, the lollipop seemed to work every other time, like, why not keep giving Sally these lollipops? So just things to think about, you know, like, try to understand that everything with your relationship with food has been something that you have learned throughout your life. And like I said, the great thing is that we have learned these things. So now by taking this first step and being in this program, you are able to relearn new things that can train you and your thoughts to turn to other things that are gonna give you the same comfort and the same feeling that food gives. So if you guys have any questions about anything in this module, please post it in the group, message me, and I am super excited for you to go over to module number 2. So I will see you over there.